IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from Budapest. I hope everybody is having a good weekend so far, staying healthy, staying strong, and being productive. In this class, we are looking at the speaking section. Specifically, we will focus on the speaking part 3 questions that follow the part 2 cue card in this 15-minute interview. And we'll be going over some Band 9 responses. You'll have a chance to answer as well. I will make some corrections in real time. This lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Definitely go there, spend a few dollars, and start your journey to getting those higher band scores. For general IELTS, visit us at aehelp.com. On both of our websites, we have lots and lots of help for you to improve your English. We have over 40 mock speaking interview sessions on aehelp.com. We have over 30 on gieltshelp.com with opportunities to speak to other students in live chat, as well as book sessions with professional native speakers who can assess your IELTS levels and give you feedback and help you. So definitely check us out there. I'll show you what these websites look like. This is the academic one here with the blue background at aehelp.com. You can click that big red button to join the premium package. And for the general, it's the green background, and you can click that big red button to join the premium package there. Hi, Tamonish. Good to see you in the class. Abdul, Jama, An, Lydia. Welcome, regular students. Hello, members. Hi, Maksud. Hi, Bekjan. I saw a few other members as well. That's great to have so many of you here with me. If anybody ever has questions, you can always contact me by email, adrian@aehelp.com, or you can contact me through the websites as well. Maksud says, I bought it. Good for you, Maksud. Make sure you use the materials every day on the websites, Maksud, and also use applications as well, and I'm sure you will benefit. I'm happy to see that you're using it and it's helpful. Okay, everyone, so let's get into some speaking. Just really quickly about the schedule. So no class on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That's usual. I will be back on Wednesday with speaking part 1 at the same time. So 23rd will be the next class, speaking part 1 for everyone. Okay, so join the classes regularly, participate, and I promise that your English and your communication will both improve. Okay, so a few classes ago, we talked about a cue card, which was an idea that you learned in school, which was useful in life. Does anybody remember what that was? So I'm sure that many of you were in that class. What was that cue card response that we gave? A useful idea that we got from school. And I remember it was from home economics class. Rajveer says, yeah, to write a cookbook based on our grandma's recipes, right? So great. I'm happy many of you have kept that in your memory banks and are able to recall that session. That's fantastic. Okay, so these part 3 questions actually flow from that part 2 cue card. Jainil, that's right, grandma's recipe book. So again, for part 3, a couple of points to keep in mind, and I want you to focus on these in today's session, and then we'll get right into questions and answers. One is use the question elements in your answer. Okay, so when the question is what are the most common subjects taught in school, the most frequent subjects that education programs contain are, okay? So use the question in your answer, paraphrase it as much as you can, okay? So that's the first point that I want you to kind of focus on. The second point that I want you to focus on is to always answer, explain, and give an example. Okay? So focus on those elements as well. All right. So Here we go. Let's get right into it, and then I'll give you feedback and more strategy as we go along. So you're sitting in your IELTS interview. Hopefully you've calmed down. Hopefully you calm down before you go into the interview. Stay focused. Pay attention to yourself. Don't worry too much about the examiner. They're there to do a job. For them, it's systematic. It's just like taking your driver's license. The driving instructor, they're the ones that should be worried because they're with new drivers all the time. But they're not. They're calm. They have a system. They have a route. They know where to take you. They know what to say to you. So that's kind of the same in the IELTS. For many of these examiners, it's their day-to-day job. Okay, they do this regularly. So just focus on yourself. All right? Okay, so the examiner says, when you're finished talking about Grandma's recipe book that you published, then the examiner will say, that's the end of part 2. I will now take back the card with the questions, the note paper, and the pencil, and now we will continue with part 3. For part 3, I will ask you some more questions related to the topic of part 2. Let's talk about school curriculum or school curricula. Okay. What are the most common subjects taught in schools? All right. Roshni says, well, as far as I know, science, math, physics are mostly taught in classrooms because they build basic skills. Also know as these subjects are the pillars of learning in high school. Okay, Roshni, I think that you should just stop at because they build basic skills. If you want, then after that, say an example like these are the kinds of classes that I took in school as well as everybody else who I went to school with. Okay, so give a smooth flowing example there instead. Seni Surani says the most common subjects taught in school are math, languages, science, arts, and sports. Okay, good, Seni. I like it. It's a nice start. Betjan says, at institutes, the most popular subjects are non-science, such as mathematics, physics, chemistry, and geography. I think you mean sciences, Bekjan, not non-sciences. And Bekjan, instead of at institutes, you have to say at educational institutes. So at educational institutes. Okay, so go with that. And then you indicate the reason due to the popularity of professions such as engineering and doctors. Many school curriculum encompass physics and biology, which are also studied. Yeah, so it's for future profession and development, right? Good. An says, well, in Vietnam, maths, literature, and English are the most popular and mandatory subjects for students to pursue and get qualifications. These 3 disciplines appear in almost every exam. Really nice answer. I like how you incorporated the reason for it, right? And this use of the word mandatory, okay? Mubina says, most of the popular subjects taught in schools are languages like Hindi and English, and science subjects like biology, physics, chemistry, as well as mathematics. Okay, you don't need to say non-languages, Mubina. That's understood, and it's a bit awkward. All right. Verma says, well, as per primary and basic dexterity for school disciplines are math, science, and history. I think the word dexterity is not accurate there, Verma. Dexterity means our precision movements, okay? Dexterity of our fingers. So careful with that word. Maybe a mistype there. Rajveer says, apart from home economics that I just mentioned, educational institutions have other frequently taught subjects such as math, English, and sciences. Yeah, good. So it's a nice start there. All right. So, in most government schools around the world, the standard curricula include math, sciences, languages, most often English, as these are needed for almost every major in university. Every person I've ever met seems to have studied these in their grades 1 to 12. Okay. So this is my answer, and it includes the question, okay? Lots of paraphrasing of the question in the first sentence here. And then also the explanation is embedded, and I give the example. So this is what you need to do for nice, high-level, fluent, good Band 9 responses. This is speaking, students, so make sure to speak and repeat as you hear me say the questions and the responses. Okay, learn from your peers as well, from other students in the class. Repeat after me. What are the most common subjects taught in schools? In most government schools around the world, the standard curricula include math, sciences, languages, most often English, as these are needed for almost every major in university. Every person I've ever met seems to have studied these in their grades 1 to 12. Okay, so here I'm purposefully speaking with a natural speed, as you will find the examiner doing the same. Students, viewers, remember, IELTS is not an English as a second language exam. It's not an ESL exam. That's a very common misconception. IELTS is an English proficiency exam. Yes, native speakers will also take the IELTS in some cases. Okay, about 1 to 2% of people who take the IELTS each year are native speakers to show their grade 12 English level, or they might need it for immigration if they don't have grade 12 English, or they might take it for work if they're going to teach English in a school. Okay, so native speakers also take the IELTS exam. It's commonly misunderstood that that only English as second language speakers take the IELTS. All right, so here we go. Next question. This is a follow-up question, and follow-up questions are very common in part 3. So why are these important? Okay, the examiner will follow us up as why are these common subjects important? Okay. Let's see if you can give me a good answer for this one. OIS says they are important because they increase the ability to think critically and help students discover the planet and understand life. OIS, that is a brilliant answer. It's perfect. It's exactly what I was thinking as well. You don't need to overthink it, but absolutely, critical thinking, logic, and understanding of the world around us, those are key points for learning sciences and math. Manpreet says, well, I think education is the third eye of human beings, and these subjects are foundations of every child to perform better in future study. Manpreet, I'm not sure what you mean by third eye of human beings. I have a kind of a feeling, but you'd have to explain that clearer, okay? If you're using some kind of a metaphor in your response, you should be very careful with that, Manpreet, or anyone else. And if you do use a metaphor, make sure it's absolutely clear, or perhaps explain it. So explain what you mean by that, okay? All right. Amanjot says, yeah, that's a good question. These subjects are essential for the overall development of pupils. These subjects somehow shape personality. Moreover, they help prepare for future learning and careers. Very good, Amanjot. Okay, nicely done. I'm loving the quality of answers that many of our regular students are putting forward. So just a big thumbs up in general to a lot of you who are attending these classes regularly. Your English has improved leaps and bounds over the past months, and I'm very proud to see that. So good for you, okay? Sujita says, I think these subjects are really important because using this basic knowledge, which we learn from our schools, allow us to achieve more advanced skills in the future. Moreover, it helps our everyday context in life, like counting our change when we go to the grocery store. Sujita, good start, but the second half of your response is a bit convoluted. It's a bit confusing. So I fixed it to make it sound more natural and threw in an example at the end as well. Okay. All right, Lydia says, studying either sciences or non-science subjects are highly significant in order to understand the way the world functions, and it can lead to innovations as well as gaining further knowledge. 85% of school subjects determine our future career and employability. Okay, Lydia, nice answer. Again, some really nice high band answers, okay? Now, it's great that I'm seeing you write these high band answers, students. Of course, the trick is to come up with them quickly and say them fluently. So this is where practice comes in really handy. And I want you to repeat, and not just my speed, but also my pronunciation, my intonation. Okay, so keep pushing forward, and you will become fantastic users of the English language, which, as many of you are writing right now, will help you in your careers and overall success in life. Neha says these subjects are quintessential for learners because if they know the fundamental skills of maths, science, they can pursue their career in prestigious multinational companies. Very nice, Neha. Okay, give me an example and I will give you an even better score. So not only are these subjects the basis for university majors, but they also shape critical thinking and an understanding of the world around us. For these reasons, they are critical to human development. All right, let's go to the next question. Here we go. Let's actually, before we go to the next question, just do a repeat after me, okay? So why are these important? Not only are these subjects the basis for university majors, but they also shape critical thinking and an understanding of the world around us. For these reasons, they are critical to human development. Okay. Next question. What subjects would be good to make part of the regular curriculum that are not currently taught? All right, now we're getting into some thinkers. Okay, so what subjects would be good to make part of the regular curriculum that are not currently taught? Give me a nice answer for this one. An says, I think astronomy should be introduced to students in schools as a mandatory subject like math or literature. English, as I had just mentioned, because more and more people are curious about the galaxy. Okay, interesting, An. Lydia says, anthropology, personal finance, and applied math would positively enhance academic abilities and skills in many facets of life. All right, I'm very curious about your answers here, so that's good, Lydia. Undoubtedly, these three subjects will be added to the curriculum as soon as possible with the development of education and state-of-the-art methods. Okay, so some hopeful thinking there. Abdul Boryi says, regarding the subjects are sophisticated to find and even impossible these days, perhaps the most predominant would be programs that were comprehensively intertwined with technological innovations. Abdul Boryi, a lot of nice words, but I have very little understanding of what you're actually saying. So be really careful with that, everyone. Just because you're using some advanced vocabulary doesn't mean that you'll get a good score if you're not making a lot of sense. Okay? It's better to use simple vocabulary and make a lot of sense than to use complex vocabulary and make very little sense. I hope everybody caught that. It's very important. Okay? If you use complicated vocabulary but make very little sense, you're going to get a band 5. If you use simple vocabulary but you make a lot of sense, you can get a band 7. Okay? So keep that in mind. Beckjohn says the subjects which I think should be incorporated in school curriculum are IT and public speaking. The latter is because students have to be able to speak easily in front of professors, teachers, and peers when doing presentations and coursework. Not only that, Beckjohn, but in front of colleagues and audiences later in life, especially in high-profile positions such as executive positions in a company, right? At board meetings. Okay? All right. You're on the right track, though, and I love the grammar complexity, Beckjohn. That's why I was able to build off of it. Remember Kapil Gaur says, in my opinion, meditation and yoga should be made a part of regular curriculum, as it would help children to channel their energy and to be confident in every aspect of life. Kapil, I couldn't agree more. I think yoga and meditation would be a great component of physical education, perhaps. Yeah, absolutely. Nazarg Amin says, well, mostly education system is built up in such a way that they are training students to target to get a job. However, I think many talent subjects should be included, such as music and dance. Yeah, those are called arts subjects, Nazarg, arts subjects. All right, well done. Okay, so here's where you say, that's an interesting and important question. Okay, so sometimes students say, don't say that, everybody says that. Well, yeah, but when you use it correctly, it's absolutely okay. Just don't use it when it's unnecessary. Like, what is your full name? That's an interesting question. My name is Thomas Andrews. That would be weird, okay? And that's an extreme example, but of course some other questions as well are not really interesting questions. However, in the real world, if somebody were to ask me, what subjects, Adrian, do you think should be included in schools that are not? I would say that's a great question. I've actually thought about that, which is true. So I would say that's an interesting and important question, or that's an interesting question. I've actually thought about it. I strongly believe that basic psychology and personal finance ought to be a part of every school study, as these skills will be needed very soon after students graduate. All right. So that's my answer. Here we go. Of course, I'm going to be partial because my degree is in psychology. I specialize in educational and developmental psychology. So here we go. Repeat after me. What subjects would be good to make part of the regular curriculum that are not currently taught? That's an interesting and important question. I strongly believe that basic psychology and personal finance ought to be a part of every school study, as these skills will be needed very soon after students graduate. Okay, and then comes the next question. Can you elaborate? It's a very popular follow-up question by the examiners. Can you elaborate? So what do you mean they'll be needed? Okay, so can you elaborate? So give me some elaboration. You should always be able to elaborate with more examples, more details. Always elaborate. And if you need a moment, just ask for it. Say, well, yeah, I can. Just give me a moment to think of some more specific details. Okay. Ferdovs says, certainly these subjects teach pupils how to battle with real-life issues and enhance their potential to be successful, as the world has been changing very quickly. Very nice, Ferdovs. I like your answer. I like your use of present perfect progressive. Has been changing very quickly. Okay. You want to use grammar range and you want to be accurate. So nicely done, Ferdovs. I like it. Okay. You're on the right track for sure. All right. Amanjot says, including these subjects not only helps learners to hone their skills, but also helps them in their future. For instance, if a person is familiar with French, then he has no difficulty talking with business partners who speak only that language, like French Canadians, right? Amanjot? Absolutely. Oh, it says, yes, teaching the students medical first aid can help their friends and families, especially in faraway places, trips, or camping, in case the student who's learning these skills needs to help in a survival situation. Oh, it's really good. Your ideas are fantastic. Oh, it's practice your grammar. Okay, so grammar skills, grammar skills, grammar skills every day. All right, have a grammar book and really practice your grammar. I think if you fine tune your grammar a bit, you're going to have a really nice result on your exam. Okay. All right, Subby Ramgarhia says, sure thing, as these subjects help to tackle some major aspects of life, such as money management and mental health. These subjects play a critical role in academics. Very good. All right. Pachu, yes. Pachu Yadav says, as I mentioned before, vocational subjects like cooking and technological subjects like automation, because they enhance and enforce a student's critical skills, critical thinking skills. Okay. Good. Nick Hill says, well, doing some debate class, students gain confidence and they learn leadership skills that help them to give presentation and also public speaking. Very good. Sonam says, these subjects will not only help develop one's mind, but also make them more accepting and aware of their surroundings. Very good, Sonam. Okay. Roshni says, yes, it has changed drastically compared to my dad's generation. These days in school curricula. Okay, Roshni, I think you're jumping ahead here. The core, you're very welcome. Welcome to the class. Abhishek says, certainly, for instance, the people get the basic foundation of physiology at the beginning of their education path. Not only helps pupils to know more about functions and mechanisms used in the body, but also help in the university and specialized professions. Okay. All right. Here's my answer. Yes, of course. When students graduate high school, they need a deep understanding of themselves and the way that their minds work, since they are forming critical relationships for future life, such as finding their soulmates and colleagues. In addition, they will become parents, and by knowing psychology, they can understand their children more. Of course, they will be in command of their own finances, and they can avoid debt and achieve prosperity by knowing budgeting and investment strategies. All right. So I have a nice, lengthy, fluent answer here for you. And as many of you can tell, I've definitely given this a bit of thought. When you give an answer like this, it's okay to give a lengthy answer. Importantly, you want to make sure that you say this fluently. Preeti, I'll try to pay attention to yours. Do keep in mind there's 160 people in the class, and YouTube doesn't always show me everyone's comment because otherwise I would just have comments flying through my screen at times, okay? So it's not that I don't want to read yours, Preeti, it's that sometimes I don't see every comment or I'm paying attention elsewhere, but I will try to catch yours, okay? All right, so here we go, follow-up question. Can you elaborate? Repeat after me. Yes, of course. When students graduate high school, they need a deep understanding of themselves and the way that their minds work, since they are forming critical relationships for future life, such as finding their soulmates and colleagues. In addition, they will become parents, and by knowing psychology, they can understand their children more. Of course, they will be in command of their own finances, and they can avoid debt and achieve prosperity by knowing budgeting and investment strategies. Okay. Maimuna, personal finance would be the financial management of your own finances. So earning money, investing money, budgeting money, saving money for your own life. That's your personal finance, as opposed to business finance, where you're looking after the accounting and budgeting of your business. Okay. All right. So Preeti says, yes, certainly personal finance not only teaches saving money and pitfalls in life, but also learning psychology teaches us basic human behavior so that we can adjust in life with every situation. Very good, Preeti. I made some corrections to the grammar there. Okay, so pay attention to that. All right. Well done. Now, let's keep going. Next question here. How have school curriculum changed compared to a generation before? Give me a nice full sentence answer for this one, okay? And you should always have a positive answer. If you say, oh, it hasn't really changed much, it's all right, but it's really short. I can't really give you a high band score because I don't know what level you are based on such a short answer. So you always want to go for a positive answer whenever possible. Like, oh yeah, it has changed a lot in the last couple of decades. Okay. Manpreet says, well, school curricula has been changing by each passing generation. A few decades ago, children learned just academic subjects, but now schools have added many subjects for the entertainment of children, such as dance, music, and cooking class that I talked about in part 2. Manpreet, be really careful, not each passing day, but each passing year at the minimum. This is asking about generation. Okay. Un says, school curriculum has changed drastically since the late 1900s, as these days there are more science-related subjects like physics, biology, and chemistry to inform people about the fundamental elements of life. Okay, good. It's just a generation before, so don't jump to early 1900s because that would be at least 3 generations before, and then the examiner will say, oh, I don't think the student got that question, so you lose marks, okay? If you're answering off topic, you lose marks fast. Be careful. Neha says, that's a tricky question. Gone are the days pupils don't focus much on sports, music, and dance in curriculum activities. However, the horned age, most students make their career in the field. Neha, be really careful. I had to really adjust a lot there for it to be sensible. This is Neha Madaan. Ferdovs says, okay, I've got a lot here. Ferdov says, in the past 30 years, the curriculum has not changed a lot. At that time, people didn't learn subjects like programming, environmental issues, and nowadays it's in the curricula to save nature and be computer proficient. Okay, a little bit of correction there. Computer proficiency, just like English proficiency. Okay. Beckjohn says the standard school curriculum has altered dramatically when considering generational differences. 100 years prior, there were classes like fine arts, music, as where these days we have more science subjects due to the demand of the modern world. As well, since all people want to be successful in their life, today's schools have economics classes. Yeah, so finances are kind of slowly getting in there. Kamaljit says school curriculum has been drastically changed as compared to previous generations because earlier the focus was on education only, but nowadays focus is on overall growth and development. So these days schools include career development classes, right? Kamaljit, very good. Okay, nice answer. Good fluency, good reasoning, good use of the question. All right, nicely done. Niha, please don't spam, so don't copy paste your answer in 10 times, okay? Because it's making it difficult for me to search through for whose answers I haven't looked at, okay? Rajveer Singh says school curriculums have changed immensely in the last 30 to 40 years. Back in the 80s, students used to learn math, science, and languages, but these days technical and management subjects have been introduced by educational institutions. Very nice, Rajveer. Okay, so there have been dramatic changes over the past 30 years in schools. Curricula. Nowadays, it is common to see computer programming classes as well as economics and career development courses, which were not around during my parents' time. I suppose this is to keep up with the changing trends in culture, okay, and technology. All right, so here we go, students. Repeat after me. How have school curriculum changed compared to a generation before? There have been dramatic changes over the past 30 years in schools. Okay, so all of this, like many other students did, is a paraphrase of this part here. Nowadays, it is common to see computer programming classes as well as economics and career development courses, which were not around during my parents' time. I suppose this is to keep up with the changing trends in culture and technology. All right. What are the positives or negatives of this development? That's the follow-up question. So what are the positives or negatives? So you can choose one or the other, or both in this case, because the connective here is or. What are the positives or negatives of this development? Give me a good response for this one. Lydia says the advantages of education development over the years incorporate expanding the curriculum by adding unique subjects such as CDI, also offering a wide range of books to broaden thinking. However, pupils may lose their natural enthusiasm for learning since the textbooks aren't interesting enough and there are too many drills involved. Okay. Not a bad answer at all. Watch the misspelt words there, Lydia. Niha says the plus side is that they feel to rejuvenate from the monotony, while the negative side is that they don't focus much on academic subjects. Okay. Bekchan says the main positive outcome of alterations occurring in school curriculum is that people can earn more money and contribute to society, whereas the negative side, loss of relationships with family and friends due to being too materialistic. Very interesting, Bekchan. It's a good answer. It's a good question. It's a very provocative answer. All right. Mukbina says, well, in my opinion, the changes in the curriculum of schools is good so that children can learn more and get practical experience. That works. So you can pick just one side, Mubina. Absolutely. Okay. Amanjad says, every coin has two sides. Looking at the pros of this development, it helps pupils to identify their abilities and how to tackle problems. But these days, pupils have become too dependent on... Okay, Amanjad, I think you've got the right point there. I'm not sure where you're going with it, but you definitely have the right point. Okay. All right. Bella Leem says there are some benefits that an individual can acquire with this transition, such as having prevalent knowledge about other aspects of non-academic courses. However, the deficits for that on some individuals might be loss of interest in their academic activities. Bella, very nice answer. Okay. Yeah, Bekjan, university is school. It's a higher level education. It's a higher level learning school. School is very general. So school is basically any institution where you are learning. That can be a college, a university, vocational school, private school. So school is a very global term. In fact, even a group of fish, Bekjan, is called a school of fish. Okay, but that's just keep that aside. So school of fish, and every learning educational institution is a school, including university. Okay, all right, good question. Okay, so what are the positives or negatives of this development? I believe that the benefits of introducing novel subjects, such as the ones I referred to in schools, is that graduates are better prepared to handle real life and find jobs which that interest them. However, the downside to offering a lot of different subjects in school may be that students lose their way and have difficulty selecting one field of interest. All right, so this is my answer. Repeat after me. What are the positives or negatives of this development? I believe that the benefits of introducing novel subjects, such as the ones I referred to in schools, is that graduates are better prepared to handle real life and find jobs that interest them. However, the downside to offering a lot of different subjects in school may be that students lose their way and have difficulty selecting one field of interest. All right. So here are some more questions. And when you have good fluency, the examiner will continue with these. Let's talk about good teachers. What qualities should a good teacher have? How do these qualities help students to learn better? Can you give examples? So this one has 2 follow-up questions, and then here's another one. What are effective ways to evaluate the quality of teachers? Are these always accurate? try these on your own. You can record them on your phone, send me your recordings. I will happily estimate your speaking band level according to the IELTS criteria. You can send your recordings to my email, adrian@aehelp.com. Please make sure that your recordings are in MP3 format. Before you do that, practice with other students, and you can practice on our websites at aehelp.com or glshelp.com. aehelp.com is for academic students, and glshelp.com is for general IELTS students. So make sure to check us out there. Don't be shy. Use the premium package. It's worth the few bucks compared to the price of the exam. Absolutely. That's it for me for today. Lots of fantastic answers. Great participation. Thank you, everyone. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Much love to all of you. I'm Adrian, signing out from Budapest. Bye for now. See you next Wednesday.